Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this afternoon, man fined $100,000 for passport fraud. A man who admitted to putting false information on his passport application form was fined $100,000 when he appeared in the St. James Parish Court on Monday. 58-year-old Merville Anthony Clark pleaded guilty to making a false declaration. According to court documents, on March 12, 2018, Clark went to the Passport Immigration and the Citizenship Agency to renew his passport. It was then discovered that he was the subject of a dual identity. The system indicated that a passport under the name Dwight Spencer had been issued to Clark in the past, prompting authorities to request an interview. He was subsequently arrested and charged. Attorney-at-law Martin Thomas, who represented Clark, told the court that his client used his legitimate passport in the 1990s to travel to the United States in pursuit of a better life. Thomas said Clark lived in the U.S. for more than a decade and fathered 3 children with his now ex-partner. The attorney said while in the U.S., Clark encountered legal issues which led to his incarceration for a period of 18 months before he was deported. He wanted to reunite with his children, and someone spoke to him and told him that they could get him a passport in an assumed name. He did everything that he needed to do to acquire the passport through this agent, and an application was filed out in his name. But he never received it because he had indicated that he was not interested because he had changed his mind and decided to walk in the straight and narrow path. He never collected the passport, it was never used, never traveled on, and he has never seen it, Thomas told the court. The attorney also indicated that his client became seriously ill 2 years ago and planned to travel to Cuba to seek medical attention. According to Thomas, Clark returned to Pico to apply for his passport in his real name, and while he was there, the facial recognition system alerted the authorities that he had applied for a passport in another name, said Thomas, as he urged the court to be lenient to his client. In handing down the sentence, presiding Judge Diane Bernard ordered Clark to pay a fine of $100,000 or serve 6 months in prison. Jamaican scammer to serve 7 years in U.S. prison. A federal judge has sentenced a Jamaican citizen to prison for operating a Jamaica-based fraudulent lottery scheme. U.S. District Court Judge Robert J. Conrad sentenced the 40-year-old Linton Stewart to 7 years in prison after he had initially pleaded guilty on August 3, 2023 to 1 count of conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud in the Western District of North Carolina. Stewart was also ordered to pay US $1,104,041.74 in restitution. According to court documents, and as part of his plea, Stewart acknowledged that from approximately 2010 through at least August 2016, he led a fraudulent lottery fraud scheme in which he and his co-conspirators targeted victims in the United States. Stewart admitted that he contacted elderly Americans by phone and falsely told them that they had won money and other prizes in a sweepstakes or lottery. He told the victims that they needed to send money to pay fees and taxes on their winnings. Stewart repeatedly contacted victims for as long as they could be persuaded to send additional money. No lottery existed and no victim ever received any winnings. Overseas lottery schemes are unfortunately a common means by which foreign criminals seek to target U.S. citizens, particularly elder Americans, said Acting Assistant Attorney General Brett A. Schmidt of the Justice Department's Civil Division. Such schemes are unacceptable, and the department will hold accountable those who participate in them. Stealing money from elderly individuals is a despicable crime, said U.S. Attorney Dana J. King for the Western District of North Carolina. Today's sentence sends a clear message that the fraudsters who target and exploit older adults for financial gain will be brought to justice. The Justice Department said that this prosecution is part of its effort to work with federal and foreign law enforcement to combat fraudulent lottery schemes in Jamaica that prey on U.S. citizens. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service investigated the case. The Justice Department's Office of International Affairs worked with law enforcement partners in Jamaica to secure the arrest and the extradition of Stewart. The Justice Department has appealed to people 60 years and older who have been a victim of financial fraud to call the National Elder Fraud Hotline, which is staffed 7 days a week by people who speak English, Spanish, and other languages. Selector avoids a criminal record after wounding woman. A St. James man who reportedly punched a woman and cut her on her neck during a confrontation was let off with a stern warning when he appeared in the St. James Parish Court on Wednesday. Gary Gordon, a music selector, was before the court on charges of unlawful wounding and issuing a threat, to which he pleaded not guilty. The court was told that on January 19, Gordon and the complainant had an altercation along the popular Jimmy Cliff Boulevard in Montego Bay, during which Gordon hit the woman in her face and the stomach and cut her on the neck with his fingernail. The police were summoned and under caution, Gordon reportedly said, "Officer, make she play the voice note where she send me about how she go pay a gunman to kill me. You're gonna have to talk to her because she not taking my calls." He was subsequently arrested and charged. After the circumstances were outlined, the clerk of the court indicated that the complainant was willing to sit with a trained mediator to resolve the dispute. The matter was briefly stood down to facilitate the mediation session. When the case was called up a short time later, it was disclosed to presiding judge Dan Bernard that Gordon had agreed to financially compensate the complainant for her injuries. As a result, a no evidence motion was entered by the prosecution to dismiss the matter. "Pay her the money you promised and let bygones be bygones," Judge Bernard instructed Gordon. "She's supposed to give me some money also," Gordon responded. "Be the bigger person, let it go, because you're alive, and at the end of it you won't have a criminal record," the judge advised him. "I'm sending you off with a stern warning, Mr. Gordon. Stay out of trouble. I don't want to see you back here for any reason at all." No report of strawberry quick drug in Jamaican schools, says a minister. As parents and the school administrators are on high alert amid a report about a fruit-flavored drug making the rounds in schools, the Ministry of Education says it has not identified any incident of the strawberry quick drug in local institutions. The ministry says it will continue to actively monitor and work closely with the law enforcement and the school administrators to ensure the safety of students, but the parents and the guardians are being urged to have open discussions with their children about the dangers of accepting food or candy from unknown sources. Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says while there are no verified reports of the drug, schools are also being advised to reinforce these messages and to immediately report any suspicious activity. Parents and the guardians are being urged to seek immediate medical attention if ingestion is suspected. Strawberry Quick, which was first introduced in California in 2010, is a twist of an older drug, methamphetamine, and it resembles a Pop Rocks, a candy that fizzes and pops when inside the mouth. Authorities in the US say meth makers have been working to trick children into trying the highly addictive drug by adding strawberry flavoring and red food coloring, then in some instances packaging the drug as if it were common candy. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.